She's a good. Nope. It's TGQ&A. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Approximate Podcast. My name's Jamie French, and you're in for another upsetting episode of TGQ&A. How is everybody doing? I know it's been about, a month since I've done one of these. And I'm sorry. I mean, for the 3 or 4 people that care, I've been busy. I've been taking a nap. So let's get some things out of the way while we let the chat room populate in the YouTube thing that we got going on here. Sorry, excuse me. Reaching for things, doing stuff. So I've done some cool things. A few days ago, I went to my favorite bands. I went to Austin to see They Might Be Giants. Amazing freaking show. Amazing show. I didn't think I was going to get to see them. Money was tight. They were supposed to come to Dallas, where I am, here in Dallas, Texas. How many Dallases are there? And the venue that they chose sold out super fast. And, the capacity for the venue, it was at the, I actually can't remember the name of the venue, but it was kind of a small venue, and it sold out super fast, and I couldn't get tickets in time. And I felt really bummed out about that because I didn't make the mark, and I had not missed a They Might Be Giant show since 2004. That was the first time I saw They Might Be Giants, 2004, and I haven't missed a show in DFW, in my area, since that time. And it finally, it was the Kessler Theater. The Kessler Theater, which is kind of a smaller venue, sold out amazingly quick. And I didn't get the tickets in time, and I felt really bummed out about that, and money wasn't coming in. And it just so happens at the last minute, I don't want to say I came into like a windfall to where I made a bunch of money, but my attitude for the work that I do, the escorting stuff, I was able to get enough money to buy a train ticket and go down to Austin, where they were playing a couple of days before the Dallas show. And I went, fuck yeah. Okay, I can still see them. I got to go down to Dallas or Austin, and I'll go see them there. I just had just enough money. And I made that happen. I stayed over at my sister's house, and I bought a ticket for my sister. Like, I had just enough money to have a good time without making myself starving. And we went down there, fucking had an amazing time. They put on an amazing show, fucking at the top of their game. It was so good. And immediately took a train back up to DFW, where while I'm on the train, I'm finding out that They Might Be Giants are doing a record signing show. So in DFW, I think what the deal was that they knew they had sold out way too quick in Dallas, and a large part of their fan base didn't get to see their show at the Kessler Theater. So what they did was they scrambled and they tried to make it up for fans and said, okay, here's what we can do. A few hours before the actual concert in Dallas, we can do a record signing. We'll go to, it was at Good Records in Dallas. And they put on an hour-long show, and it was the 2 principal players and their drummer. It was the 2 Johns, John Linnell and John Flansburgh, and Marty Beller, and they just threw on a real quick 1-hour set and it was a free show. It was like from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And they would do like an hour's worth of signing. So that puts them at the store till 6. and then their actual show at the Kessler Theater that was sold out doesn't start till like 8 or 9. So they were minches essentially, and they like did what had to be done to kind of play to their hardcore fans. And I found out about this on the train looking at shit on my phone, and I was like, oh, fuck, dude, I can make this happen. I actually do get to see them, in my hometown, and that's fucking awesome. But not that I regret spending the money on the train ticket and the ticket in Austin to see them. That was amazing. And yes, you can't replace that because that was the big show. But then I also got to do this like free, really amazing, like intimate, intimate, the fucking cookie company. No, intimate, like record signing show. And all I had to do was show up on time. I still had enough money to like pull towards that little adventure, and I was able to get it done. And dude, it was so amazing. So in the like I had this like weird little like fan fuck experience in the course of like 4 days, where I take a train from my hometown down to Austin, like a 6-hour trip, watch They Might Be Giants, come up back to my hometown, watch a free show that was like a last minute thing because they were trying to make up for a sold out show that they didn't anticipate, and saw them there and got like I don't know, I think you guys can see it. I'm pointing at a poster here. The very first show that I ever saw They Might Be Giants at, 2004, I brought that poster with me, and they signed it, my first They Might Be Giants experience. And that was amazing. And they signed that, and dude, I've been a fan of these guys. They're my most favorite band. I've been a fan of these guys for, what am I, 38? And I started seeing them at 12. So like 26 years. And they actually signed my fucking poster. It was amazing. It was fucking amazing. So I had this like big fucking adventure in the past like 4 days at the beginning of February. And it was fucking, that was a highlight of my life. Now, with that out of the way, this is the TGQ&A. Transgender questions and answers show. So let's get to y'all. I just killed a bunch of time to let the room populate in the YouTube thing. And so we're going to start answering questions because that's what we're here for. Thank you for letting me kind of, barf, a little bit of my own personal experience onto your listening experience. So here's the way this deal works on TGQ&A, an approximate podcast, one of 5 shows that we do. TGQ&A, I'm going to answer some questions. That's the whole thing, Q&A. So we have people write in to approximatepodcast@gmail.com. You can also send your questions into our burner line, which is 817-673-3704. And I have on my Twitter, I have a Curious Cat app, which is just a thing that you can write questions into, and I try to parlay those into the TGQ&A. So we're going to go through all 3 things, and then we also have live the people in the chat room, their questions. So we're going to go ahead and let me see who's in the room right now, because I'm going to start with emails, and then we're going to go to the burner line, and then we're going to go to Curious Cat, and I will answer questions all across the board there. So who do we have in the room right now? We have Navigatorture says, hiya. Hey, hi, Navigatorture, long-time listener, 9th-time caller. You say, That was cool footage you got. Oh, okay. Hold on. Well, I'll get to that just a second. We also have Brett Wendell says, your TMBG vid was awesome. Okay. Again, this is a thing we're going to get to. Navigatorture says, they're a great band. Yes, they are. Navigatorture also says, is good to gush. Okay, well, we a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. I feel like maybe I've gushed too much. But okay, so that whole for people that are watching or listening right now, you can go to the YouTube channel where this is being presented, and it's not in a playlist. You'll find it when you click on like the videos tab, and it will be there. I recorded some of the show that I saw in Dallas. I didn't record the whole show. It was an hour-long show, and I recorded about 20 minutes worth of it because I didn't want to be that douchebag that held the phone up for like the entirety of the thing. I wanted to enjoy the experience. Even though I enjoyed the experience in Austin a few days before, I still wanted to enjoy this experience. But I did try to capture it as best as I could, just a few songs. And I went and I edited the thing and I put it up on the YouTube. And you go into, on this YouTube page, for those that are checking it out on YouTube. For those that are on SoundCloud or that are listening to it on your iPod app, or whatever podcast app that you have, go to my YouTube page and you will see. Click on videos and you'll see the TMBG video that I put out, and it's so fun. And it's so I think you really, really like it. It's kind of a bird's eye view of what I was able to witness. So anyway, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the meat of the show. Let's go ahead and get to the questions. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to start with the Curious Cat app thing. So let me pull up those questions here. And it looks like, let me make sure I got all the questions I have available to me. Let me refresh the page. Okay, so I'm gonna go top from bottom. Okay, most of these are by anonymous. The questions start thus. Anonymous says, "Drunk me, hoping to enlighten sober me. But how do you get the confidence to be yourself to the fullest while transitioning?" Okay, man, wow. Oh boy. Yay. It's TGQ&A. So this is, yeah. Let me say that one more time. Drunk me is hoping to enlighten sober me. How do you get the confidence to be yourself to the fullest while transitioning? Okay, well, it sounds like your question is, it sounds like you're trying to skip to the end. It's hard. It's really hard. Transitioning and going through that process and being confident is not something that automatically happens just because you decide to transition. That's not the case. That's not the case. We're people that are in this mode, people that are outside of the lines of society. You earn confidence. You're not born with confidence. Okay, so let me make it make more sense. Okay, so as you're going through the transition process, okay, Jesus Christ, this is so, okay, I got it, because I lived it. and you're looking to me for the answers. Do you is transitioning a thing that you actually really want to do? You know, is it a thing that, like, what are your purposes? Why are you transitioning? That's the first and foremost. You have to question yourself. You know, confidence is all about questioning yourself. When you know who you are, but you're pairing who you are against, like, it's you versus society, are you more worried about what you want to do, what you know is right for you, or are you pairing it against society? Like, do you feel that you're only validated in the way that you feel based on other people's opinions of you? Or do you just want to do the thing you do regardless of what anybody says about you? You know, you have to figure out what kind of person you are. Okay. So that was a little heady. Let me just refresh the question, get back on track, and say, drunk me, hoping to enlighten sober me, but how did you get confidence to be yourself, to be the fullest while transitioning? Okay. Personal. This is going to be a very personal story. You're asking me of my personal experience. I never cared. I literally never cared. I always was in love with myself. I know that sounds like a shitty thing to say, right? But what I'm saying is, I was always confident in myself. I always knew that I wanted to do the things that I said that felt right to me, and I never cared about what anybody else thought as far as how they could affect me. And let me put it to you like this. Do you feel like you're a rebel? Do you feel like you're surrounded by what everybody tells you have to do, but you say no and you want to drive forward? If that's so, sorry about for that little fucking for sorry about that noise. How much do you care about people's opinions? Because I will tell you straight up, I don't care about people's opinions. And that's the thing, more than my fucking gender, more than, dude, the first thing I think as a person is I don't give a fuck about what anybody says I ought to do or how I should be. I never asked to be born. You never asked to be born. You don't have to do anything that anybody says. You really don't. You really don't. You actually, as a person on this earth, you get to make up your own rules. I do the exact same thing. Now, that's as an individual, we get to have that. But you also, look, that makes it a very black and white thing. But I also know that you have people that you may have to answer to, a boss, family members. Sure, I get that. But you have to kind of, here's the way I did it. I knew what I was from a very young age. And I was very selfish about those things. I wanted to do those things, pursuing my my gender, pursuing what needed to be changed, even though I was, it's that whole thing about being born physically the way you are and how you feel about the way you are. And I said, nah, I don't feel good the way I was born. And this is I'm going to choose to my guts tell me. And choose is a weird word because choose makes you sound like it was arbitrary, like you were bored and you're gonna choose to be a girl. No, 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 no. I chose anarchy. I chose resistance, bravery. It shouldn't be choose. It should be the word bravery to say, I'm going to go this way, and I did that. And I feel you're going to do that. But I also recognize that you are still like playing to your family's feelings and what you think is society's feelings. Turns out, if you're honest, if you just say that you're going to do the thing that you're going to do, you can make it. People will respect honesty. Okay. I really want to kind of capture this in a way that, okay. See how much this plays into how you're feeling, okay? I was born a boy. At around puberty, 13, 14, 15, I felt that I was not... my physical form didn't match the way I felt about myself. Okay? Doesn't matter if it was a mutation. Doesn't matter if it was a gene thing. Doesn't matter. Chromosome. Doesn't matter. That's the way I actually really felt. And so I started to pursue that. And I never stopped doing it. I never stopped going forward once I felt that thing. But what I did was I looked around at how my parents felt about it, how my friends felt about it, how society felt about it. And what I did was I said, you know what? In private, I'm going to do this thing that I know needs to be done. But I'm also going to be polite enough to not fuck with you. Mom, I'm not going to fuck with you, Mom. I found weird ways of doing it. I said, basically what I did was I said, okay, I need to be a girl, but I'm going to be polite enough to not fuck with anybody, and here's how I'm going to get away with it. I'm going to paint my nails black. I'm going to put on some goth makeup. I'm going to do all the things that make me feminine, but it's going to be acceptable because I'm also a musician. And so people will look at me when I do those things and they'll say, oh, no, they're not a transgender person. They're, oh, yeah, that comes with the look of rock and roll. I adopted a rock and roll lifestyle so that I wouldn't offend anybody, but I still was able to drive forward with my transition in a kind of sly way. Not because I was afraid of them, but because I wanted to be polite to them. If I had just completely come out and said, hey, dude, I'm a trans person. Dad, Mom, I'm a trans person. It might have worked out. It might have worked out. But my feeling was that I didn't want to test those boundaries because I knew that in my teens when this was going on, it wasn't going to be a big fucking deal. You know, it's I made it to where I wanted to be able to investigate myself without creating a lot of havoc, without creating a lot of, even though I knew they might accept me, I didn't want to test those waters. So I just kept it really simple. And that's the way I did it. And when I got to the age that I am now, around the age of like 32, right now I'm 38, but around the age of 32 is when I was able to say, just put everything out on the table and say, hey, I'm a trans person. I have to do this. And I know for years and years, every one of you, the people that I care about, they've known that I've been a weirdo. And I know this is probably no big surprise to you. And they all said, well, yeah, this is no surprise to us. You have always been this way. We've kind of known. And I was able to come out and nobody fucks with me. You know, to answer your question, I've always been confident, but I've always tried to be polite. As confident as I am, you have to read your audience. And in this case, my audience was my family, my friends, and society at large. Trying to read my audience while going through this confidence was never an issue for me because I didn't care about anybody else's feelings. Never cared. Never cared. But, well, I mean, obviously I did care. I care about my family. I care about my friends. I care about society at large. I just didn't want to. I never, okay, so to say this, I never let my transition fuck with me. I allowed for it to fuck with other people, but I never let it fuck with me. I marched forward in my private life and then gave everybody a little bit of a smoke screen, you know. I said, you know, I'm gonna be a fucking rock and roll person, and so that explains the makeup and everything. And people will go, yeah, no, I get it. But here's the deal. Be confident in yourself, because what actually happens at the end of the day is that your family, your friends, society at large, you can't trick them. They know a trans person when they see a trans person. So just be a trans person. You know, I wish I was more honest about what I was at a younger age. But I overthink. I'm too careful. And that's what happened to me. And I don't know how that plays into your life's situation, But I hope over all of my rambling that you are able to pick up something, that's helpful. And if not, you can always hit me up directly at approximatepodcast@gmail.com. Send me, what your thoughts and feelings are. And I'll see if I can, you know, be more direct about it. Let's create a dialogue. So let me go ahead. That was a big ramble, but that's what TGQ&A is all about. You never know what you're going to get. We're here to answer questions, and my purview is dependent on the kind of questions I get, and it could either be a 1-second answer or it could be a 30-minute answer. So let's see what happens. So I'm going to pull up another question from the emails here. Oh, I'm sorry, not the emails, but the Curious Cat, which is here. I'm sorry, like I said, most of these at the top of the show, I said most of these were anonymous. We got an anonymous says AR-15 or AK-47 talking about the cannabis, not the rifles. First of all, I don't smoke pot. I'm thinking of taking it up, but at the age of 38, not being a pot smoker, I don't. I have no idea what you're talking about, and I'm sorry. It turns out that all of my family members are complete, like all my siblings, both my sisters, my brother, my eldest sister, they all smoke pot. I have no idea what that code is. But and I don't like guns either. So there's like no input. Like I can't even make a bid out of it. But hey, keep on smoking. I'm in your corner. I believe in you. Keep doing it. But ask somebody else between the choices of those two kinds of different pots. I don't know if there's sativa or the other thing that's not sativa. I don't know. So, let's see. I got a third question from Anonymous. It says, how cool are beehive haircuts? What? You're asking me a question about beehive haircuts? What? I guess the only Marge Simpson, that beehive haircut is acceptable. What do you want me to say? Where does that come from? Send me another question. I want to know where the fuck your head was at when you were asking me that. No, I don't give a fuck about beehive hair. What the fuck is your problem? I look like fucking John Waters over here. Let's see. I got another question on CuriousCat.me. Says, this is from Anonymous. They all are from Anonymous. Says, how cool are... Oh, I'm sorry. That was the beehive hair. Last question. Sorry. If you could do a dance in front of a famous person, who would it be? Well, I've done plenty of dances, and I've been in plenty of forums where I've danced in front of famous people. Here in Dallas, we have a place called the Lizard Lounge. It's a nightclub, and on Sundays and Thursdays they do a goth night. It's called The Church, and I've been going there since the age of 20. Now I'm 38, so that's 18 years. And they have a really big pool, and I've been at the church on a night where Marilyn Manson has come in, famous person, has come in and has just kind of sat up on the balcony right in front of the large dance floor. And I was there drinking, smoking, doing all the things that kids do. And I've danced in front of him. I mean, and that was fun. But also, more recently, if I was at the Cheetahs in LA, where I was actually doing a stripper set for oh geez, what was the company's name? I can't remember. But every year that the um that the transgender erotic awards comes through, um they they have like a pre-party, and there's a company. God damn it, I'm trying to remember the name of the company. Um, Tranny Strip. Tranny Strip comes in and they try to make their money off of the back of the event, and the event is the TEA Awards, the Transgender Erotic Awards. Um, it's basically the AVN Awards for trans people. Um, but Tranny Strip will come in. They'll rent a venue, and they will have girls that are, you know, front runners in the trans porn industry come in and ask them if they want to dance, be a part of the event. And I did that. It was a couple of years ago, like literally 2 years ago. And I every girl that gets invited gets about 15 minutes. No, I'm sorry, not 15 minutes. They get like 2 to 3 songs on stage, and I was the first one to go. And I did a bunch of dances. I got up on stage, did the pole dance, wrapped myself around the pole, did what I thought was a good job to the best of my ability. Picked some really lame, what I thought were like good stripper songs. And the intro to to get in, you had to pay a large amount of money. And so you had to be a really good fan of trans porn to be able to spend the kind of money to get in the doors for this thing that was kind of, like I said, hightailing and running off the back of the TEA awards. And so what happened was, we had I want to say 11 to 14 girls that were all recognized in the porn industry that signed up for this thing, and it was counting short of straw, and I just happened to be the first person on the list because we all threw our names into a hat, and I did this dance, and these people that are there that are populating the event at Cheetahs in LA, they're made up of all kinds of fans. Like I said, mostly hardcore fans, the people that are willing to spend the amount of money it takes just to get in the door. A lot of famous people there too. I've done dances in front of a lot of famous people. I can't name names, I can't name names. It wouldn't be fair. But yeah, I've danced. I've done actual real dances in front of people. I assume that's what you mean by dances, like stripper type stuff. If not, hit me up, approximatepodcast@gmail.com, and we can talk about it. But let me see here. I think that's it for the Curious Cat stuff. I'm going to go ahead and let's see. I have some emails. I don't have anything on the burner line just yet. I can do a double check. Nothing on the burner line. That's fine. I do have some emails. So we're going to go ahead and skip right to the emails. I know that people in the room, I'm seeing you right here. I know you have a lot to say, and I know I haven't really answered your guys' stuff. But I will get to you at the end. Okay, I think you guys, people that are actually paying attention right now, know that I pay attention to the chat room lastly, because it's a first come, first serve kind of thing. But I can't wait to talk to you guys in the chat room. Thank you so much for being here. How many times? Keep a count. Did I say 20,000 times? Okay. So from our friend, longtime listener, Evan Gregory, says, "Hi, Jamie. Glad you had a good time with They Might Be Giants. Thank you for paying so much attention. Sorry I haven't been in contact about the Frank Zappa, but I've been ill." Okay, so about a month ago, there was a question that asked how familiar the podcast was with Frank Zappa's music. I got to be honest, haven't paid a lot of attention. I'm still working on it. But that's okay. So, we're still par for the course. Let's see. The first question, we got 3 here from Evan, says, recently. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Number 1, first official question says, I've been listening to a lot of Frank Zappa live albums from the mid-'70s and found the use, if 2 drummers tuned 1/3 out of each other, really interesting. Do you think tunings can open up new ideas musical? I feel this is a drunk email, and I fucking love that. So what I'm hearing is this person, Evan, has listened to some Frank Zappa albums and has heard some, because they're such a nerdy musician, they're paying attention to the weird drum tunings on some recordings, and they want to know if tunings mean anything as far as opening up new musical ideas. Well, yes, of course. I think if you're such a prominent musician, if you're so adept at your craft that you can start thinking about things that are as abstract and as obscure as tuning methods and how they would affect your music, yeah, I think that just comes with the lay of the land. You can obviously start to make weird new sounds, but the deal is the bell curve of people that listen to music don't give a fuck about that kind of mathematics. Once you start thinking that much about how sound works, you stop thinking about feeling, and you start being all obsessed about the technicalities of music, then you're playing to a very small, specific crowd. People that are zeroed in on structure, patterns, that care more about those things than what a brief piece of music is supposed to make you feel, So, and that's the crown of progressive music. It's progressive for a reason. It's your Rushes, your King Crimsons, your fucking Frank Zappas. These are people whose brains think they're doing something that's musical, but what it actually happens is they're just more concerned about the craft than the end result. I don't want to say art. I just want to say they're more concerned about the craft than the end result. They're more concerned about people. They're more concerned about how it's made than why it's made. And It just depends on what kind of brain you have. Or do you like to listen to weird structured things that challenge your mind in a mathematical fashion? Or do you just want to feel something? You know? I think the masters can make you feel something, and then they're so bored with making you feel something that they start to lean into, let's just start just how's shit built. I'm really much more interested in how things are built, you know? And I think that's where you get your Frank Zappas and stuff from. But we can keep chewing on that later down the road. So question 2 from Evan says, recently some kids in Guildford Guildford is in England, British, BK. Why can't I say the thing? This is a person that is in England. So anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. Recently, some kids in Guildford managed to hide in the local sports center to spend the night having fun and managed to avoid security. They then posted it on YouTube. What kind of dumb is this? Well, though, now, hey, okay, first of all, sorry for fucking up your whole trying to tell me where Guildford is in the UK, in the United Kingdom. Google it, listeners, Google it. As far as the actual action, some kids broke into I guess a sports store. People that sell basketball equipment and hiking gear. And they just kind of fucked around, and then after they were done with it, they posted it on YouTube. And you want to know how dumb that is? Well, here I gotta tell you this. I don't. So long as they didn't steal a bunch of shit, I'm fine. I will always be on the cheerleader side of anarchy and mischief. I will, all the time. I will, so long as it doesn't hurt nobody. Now, if it hurts like a conglomerate sales, I don't give a fuck about that. So long as they didn't steal shit, they were just being pranksters. Fucking A. Love it. Here's where they fucked up. They got caught by posting this footage on YouTube. Well, dude, here's the thing that you need to know. Everybody needs to know in this day and age, you need to know the importance of Photoshop and After Effects. If you're going to do something mischievous, fun, and awesome, then you also have to have the wherewithal, especially in this day and age where we should all know better. Everything's filmed. We all film. We're all videographers. You should take your footage and blur your face out. Blur your fucking tattoos. If you're just having a little bit of fun. Break into a thing. It's fine. Don't steal nothing. Just do it because you want to do it. Just do it because you want to prove you can do it. And if you post that footage on YouTube, take a fucking second to blur your face out. You weren't doing much harm. You were just being young and dumb, and that's fun. And I will always side on being young and dumb and fun. So long as they didn't steal anything, so long as they didn't like hurt anybody. Where they fucked up was they posted on YouTube without blurring their face out. It's the After Effects, you just go get it. You could torrent it. I'm not saying you should torrent it, but go ahead and torrent it. So let's go ahead. That's my opinion there. I don't mind young kids being young and dumb. It sucks that they were caught, but I think, young kids ought to know better. It just seems to me they ought to know better in this day and age where this is not unprecedented. You know, you should be able to look at what's going on. Like the general zeitgeist is, we all kind of know how to use video. Everything's videoed, and if you want to remain anonymous, it's very easy to remain anonymous. You just have to take that little bit of effort. So I think most kids know. I'm giving them like credence. Like I believe most kids know that they should do that. So these kids didn't. That sucks. But I do stand behind them creating a little bit of mischief, so long as they didn't harm anybody. So number 3, we got who would you recommend from Twitter? Who would I recommend from Twitter? I would recommend everybody goes away from Twitter. Okay, I get what you're saying, but honestly, I recommend everybody gets the fuck off of Twitter. Jesus Christ, it's a mess. It's a goddamn mess. Who would I recognize for you if you don't want to get off Twitter and you want to follow somebody, if that's what you're asking? I would say follow the comedians. Follow podcasts that are populated by comedians. Those are the thinkers. Those are the people that have a vested interest in making you feel good. That's they've chosen to make people feel good through their pain for your laughter. You know, that's who you should go with. These are people that think and feel and experience all the dark parts of themselves that you can identify with in yourself. So, you know, it's not hard. You know, you take your Patton Oswalt's, you know, his brother, Matt Oswalt, you know, go to unpops.com, or I'm sorry, at unpops on Twitter. Follow Adam Todd Brown, follow Jeff May, follow, Quincy Johnson too. I'll tell you what, you want to find out who you need to follow? Go to ApproxPod, at ApproxPod on Twitter, and look at who I'm following. Those are the kind of people you should be following. Everybody that was from the Cracked Writing Staff. Everybody that was from the Cracked Writing Staff, you should go follow them. Daniel O'Brien, Michael Swaim. There are a shit ton of people that are amazing to follow that you need to follow. David Wong. Dude, there's so many awesome folks to follow that will lead you in a positive, good, right direction. Again, hit me up at approximatepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll give you a list of folks that you want to follow. So with that out of the way, let's see here. Also follow White Wine True Crime. Also follow Carrie Martin. Also follow Caitlin Cutt. The list doesn't stop. There's so many people that I can drive you to. And then we have a last thing here. It's P.S. Croydon is the most populated borough of London. Well, I guess that I don't know what that means, but it must relate to something that I said on the last TGQ&A, where we were talking about England stuff. So here we are. We've answered all the pre-written questions, and I'm going to go ahead and start to address the room. So here we go. Before we shut this one out, let's see what we got. Okay, so this might get a little confusing because what I'm reading through is going to address some probably a bunch of the things that I've already talked about. I've got I'm just going to start at an arbitrary point in the chat room on YouTube. Let's see here. We're going to start with Brett Wendell says, where are you doing the show from? Looks like an office versus what looks like your living room. You seem to be in most of the time. Okay, great. No, that's a good question. So, I am in the corner of my one-bedroom apartment. This is where I have all of my stuff, all of my production gear, and if you can see my hand pointing this away, I'm pointing to where we usually broadcast. Now, here's what I'm going to do, and I'm trying not to fuck it up, but here, just give me a second. All right, for those who are listening on SoundCloud, there was a bit of silence there because I was moving the camera around to show Brett Wendell the kind of difference that we have in the podcast right now. Here's why this is that way. All of my computer stuff I didn't want to take it all apart and move it to where we usually do the podcast tonight. I just wanted to just get it done and out of the way and make it really simple. So you see a lot of the shit that you don't get to see on a normal podcast where we have that nice white background and just a couch. So, I mean, I hope that answers your question. It was just a matter of I didn't want to do that much work to do a live YouTube podcast. So we're going to move on to the next question in the chat room. Let's see here. Give me just a second. I got a lot to catch up with. Do you think you would become a musician if it had not been a way to bend your sexuality? Oh, no, whoa, dude. No, dude. I've loved music from the fucking day I was born. I remember bopping my head to the back of the car seat, listening to whatever music my parents were playing from like 2 years old, and remembering how much I loved and adored music and faked playing the drums at the age of like fucking 5 to 10. And then it coming around the age of 14, thinking I should actually be playing an instrument of some sorts, coming into the age of 15 and actually telling my dad that I needed to play an instrument and I want to play a bass. Based off of, I've told the story many, many times why I became the impetus of how a bass or an instrument of any sort landed in my hand. I've told that story many, many times. Go back and listen to previous podcasts. Like, it has nothing to do with my gender. In fact, if anything, I used my musicianship as a way to parlay my gender. You know, I used the whole rock and roll thing as a way to kind of ease my transition, you know, to make it more comfortable for those that I've, you know, my family and my friends, you know, oh, well, they're in a fucking band, so eyeliner and black nail polish, that's par for the course. That fucker's 15. I get that makes sense. You know, I use music to do my thing, you know, and I hoard my music out for my transition, not the other way around. So I hope you understand that. And if you don't, again, email me at approximatepodcast@gmail.com. So let's keep going down the list here in the room. I got Navigator says, thinking of getting a beehive wig. Don't do that. Don't do that. Brett Wendell says, what is the Curious Cat link? Okay, so if you want to see my Curious Cat link, that's just a place where you can ask questions, essentially. Go to my dude, Twitter. Like, all the links are here in the podcast. They're okay, so what's an easy way to say this? Go to Twitter, all right? Go to @Jamie_French, and you're going to find my Curious Cat. Let me see. I know I should probably, that's the thing I'm probably going to have to write at the top of the fucking deal where you see all the other links. CuriousCat.me. I'm gonna go ahead and post it on the this won't matter to listeners that are listening to this on SoundCloud, but I'm gonna go ahead and post it on the chat room in the YouTube, and I'll say it out loud, and whoever's paying attention will get to it. Let's see here. CuriousCat.me, and go to profile. There we are. Okay, okay, so it's CuriousCat.me /Jamie French. It's pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead and paste that in the deal in the chat room. And there you are. Okay, so I hope that answers that question. Let's see. Now we got, let's see, Brett Wendell says, watch Anonymous, this will change everything. Vid. Don't know what that means. Navigator Torture also says, breaking the fourth wall. Always breaking the fourth wall. I'm trying to fucking break the fifth wall if there's one. Okay, so you know what? I think that's it. We are at an hour and 2 minutes. I'm not going to edit any of this. So happy trails. Let's go ahead and play ourselves out with a song. And this is yet another completely depressing episode of TGQ&A. It's just awful. Here we go. So you're listening to a thing. Yep. What the fuck is it? What is this? Why are we listening to this? It's TGQ&A. Good night, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye.